When life hits you in the chest so hard that you forget how to breathe, that's the moment you discover who you truly are. Pain shakes you awake. Failure exposes you. Doubt stands in front of you like a giant daring you to quit. But that is exactly when you must give everything you've got. Not half your strength, not the little scraps left after you waste your time. Give it your all, every heartbeat, every thought, every ounce of your will. Because the universe does not open its doors for the lazy or the half-committed. It rewards the ones who choose to keep moving even when their legs shake, who choose to stand even when their world burns. You want to win? Then act like someone who cannot live without victory. Act like someone who refuses to be average. Act like someone who understands that discipline is love for yourself. The moment you decide that excuses no longer belong in your life, the world shifts. Opportunities reveal themselves. Strength grows where weakness used to live. Give it your all and watch life bow to your effort. Because when you refuse to quit, winning becomes inevitable. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you'll forever be a slave to your emotions. People talk about freedom like it's something handed to you, something you're born with, something you're entitled to just for existing. But real freedom doesn't come from wishes, comfort, or ease. Real freedom is earned in the quiet moments when nobody is watching you, judging you, or pushing you. It comes from the daily decision to do what you said you would do, long after the feeling that motivated you has disappeared. Discipline is the voice inside you that says, get up. When your emotions scream, stay down. Discipline is the force that pushes you forward when your fear tries to pull you back. And the truth is, if you don't master discipline, your emotions will master you. They'll dictate your actions, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. Most people live like prisoners inside their own minds. They wait for motivation to strike, and when it doesn't, they crumble. They wait to feel ready, and because that feeling never comes, neither does progress. Every emotion becomes a chain. Laziness, doubt, procrastination, insecurity, fear of failure, these things lock people into small lives. But the disciplined individual breaks those chains by acting despite the feeling. When you become disciplined, you become unstoppable, not because every day feels good, but because your actions no longer depend on how you feel. You rise above your emotions and begin to shape your life with intention rather than reaction. Discipline is the root of all great achievements. Every victory has a backbone of discipline habits: waking up early when it's uncomfortable, pushing yourself when your body wants to quit, choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. Freedom is not the absence of rules. Freedom is the presence of control. Control over your actions, control over your habits, control over your reactions to life's challenges. Without discipline, you live like a leaf in the wind, blown around by whatever emotion hits you that day. You want to get healthier, but you don't feel like it. You want to start a business, but you feel scared. You want to fix your life, but you feel overwhelmed. Feelings become excuses, and excuses become prisons. But discipline breaks that cycle. It transforms "I don't feel like it" into "I do it anyway." It turns fear into fuel. It turns doubt into drive. It turns pain into purpose. The strongest people you know aren't the ones who feel motivated every day. They're the ones who show, even when everything inside them wants to give up. Discipline is a form of self-respect. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to realize that you are capable of far more than your emotions suggest. You stop being manipulated by temporary feelings and start living according to permanent values. That's where true freedom begins. Freedom is being able to say no to your weaknesses. Freedom is being able to walk away from habits that destroy you. Freedom is having the strength to silence the voice in your mind that whispers, "Just quit." Discipline is not punishment. It's the gateway to the life you actually want. Everything you dream of: success, confidence, strength, financial power, emotional resilience, it all sits behind the door of discipline. Most people never open that door because they want comfort more than progress. But comfort is the enemy of freedom. Comfort keeps you soft, fragile, and easily broken. Discipline makes you tough, sharp, and unshakable. There will be days when your heart feels heavy, your mind feels tired, and your motivation feels dead. But discipline keeps you moving, and every day you push through those moments, you build a version of yourself that fears nothing. You become someone who can't be controlled by emotions because you've learned how to control your actions. Discipline is the ultimate act of empowerment. It means you've taken responsibility for your life, your effort, your outcomes. It means you've stopped blaming circumstances and started shaping circumstances. And the moment you master discipline, you master yourself. When you master yourself, you become free. Not free to do whatever you want, whenever you want, but free to live the life you were meant to live. free to rise above, free to break patterns, free to evolve, free to win. Discipline is the foundation of freedom because only a disciplined mind can build a free life. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you'll forever be a slave to your emotions. People underestimate how powerful this truth is. They think emotions are harmless, temporary waves that pass, but emotions, when left unchallenged, become rulers. They dictate your behavior, your decisions, and ultimately your entire identity. Without discipline, you wake up every day reacting instead of creating, surviving instead of building, drifting instead of driving. And the worst part is most people don't even realize it. They think their life is hard because circumstances are unfair, because luck is against them, because the world is cruel. But the real battle is happening inside them. It's the battle between what they feel and what they must do. The people who win in life are not the ones who feel strong. They're the ones who act strong even when they feel weak. Emotions can trap you in invisible cages. Laziness whispers that tomorrow is enough time. Fear convinces you that taking a risk is dangerous. Self-doubt tells you that you're not capable, not worthy, not ready. Comfort seduces you into choosing the easy path every single time. And if you keep obeying these emotions, they grow stronger. They become habits. They become patterns. They become your personality. A person without discipline turns into someone who bows to every negative feeling that passes through their mind. They become predictable, breakable, controllable. Their life becomes a reflection of their weakest moments. That is not freedom. That is emotional slavery. True freedom is built, not gifted. It comes from doing what needs to be done even when your emotions don't support you. Discipline is the armor you wear when the world tests you. It is the sword you use to cut through excuses. It is the shield that protects your ambition from self-sabotage. When you are disciplined, your emotions no longer control the direction of your life. You do. Discipline allows you to choose growth over fear, progress over comfort, consistency over chaos. When you decide to become disciplined, you break the illusion that you must feel good to do good. You understand that success has nothing to do with mood. Winners don't ask themselves, do I feel like it? They ask, is it necessary? They ask, will this make me stronger? They ask, will this serve the future version of me? And if the answer is yes, they move, even if their emotions fight them every step of the way. That is freedom. That is self-mastery. Discipline also creates internal clarity. When you stick to your commitments, your mind starts trusting you. You stop being at war with yourself. You stop feeling guilty, frustrated, or disappointed in your lack of action. You begin to develop a calm confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. Most people can't rely on themselves because they break promises to themselves daily. They say they'll wake up early, but they don't. They say they'll eat clean, but they don't. They say they'll work on their dreams, but they don't. And every time they break a promise to themselves, they damage their self-esteem. They weaken their inner strength. They teach themselves that their words mean nothing. Discipline fixes this. Discipline rebuilds you. Every act of discipline says, I am in control of my life. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is being strong enough to do what you must. Without discipline, desires control you. Cravings control you. Weakness controls you. With discipline, you control them. That is why disciplined people rise above the rest. They are not dragged by temptation or emotion. They choose their path with precision. They commit to it with intensity. They protect it with consistency. Discipline also separates average from exceptional. Everyone wants results, but only the disciplined earn them. Everyone wants success, but only the disciplined can tolerate the discomfort required to reach it. Everyone wants a better life, but only the disciplined are willing to sacrifice temporary pleasure for long-term greatness. Discipline is the difference between wishing and achieving. It is the difference between dreaming and doing. It is the difference between potential and reality. When you live with discipline, your world expands, doors open, skills sharpen, opportunities appear where before there were none. Your mind becomes stronger, your body becomes resilient, your spirit becomes unstoppable. You stop waiting for the right moment and start creating it. You stop needing motivation and start generating momentum. You stop being limited by your emotions and start being guided by your purpose. Discipline is the greatest freedom a human can have. Because when you control yourself, nothing else can control you. Not fear, not failure, not doubt, not laziness, not the opinions of others. Discipline makes you untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. And without it, you will always live at the mercy of your feelings, chained, limited, held back by the weakest parts of yourself. That is why discipline is not just important, it is essential. It is the foundation of every victory, every transformation, every breakthrough you will ever experience. It is the doorway to freedom. And until you choose discipline, you will never taste true freedom for even a single day. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you'll forever be a slave to your emotions. This truth is one of the hardest for people to accept because it forces you to confront the uncomfortable reality that your life is shaped more by your habits than your hopes. Emotions are powerful, unpredictable, and often misleading. They can inspire greatness, but they can also trap you in cycles of weakness, fear, and procrastination. Without discipline, emotions run unchecked, and you end up living a life controlled by impulses instead of intention. You become reactive instead of proactive. You drift instead of directing your destiny. But when discipline enters your life, everything changes. Because discipline gives you control. Most people don't realize how often their emotions sabotage them. One moment you feel confident, the next you feel doubtful. One moment you feel determined, the next you feel tired. One moment you feel inspired, the next you feel overwhelmed. If you rely on these shifting emotions to guide your actions, you will never build anything lasting. Emotions are temporary. Discipline is permanent. Emotions are like weather, changing constantly. Discipline is like climate, shaping the long-term environment of your life. If you want real freedom, you must build that freedom on something stable, not something unpredictable. Think about how many dreams die because someone didn't feel like it. How many goals fade because someone waited to be motivated? How many opportunities disappear because someone hesitated when emotion told them to stay safe? Emotion whispers excuses. You're tired. You're stressed. It's too hard. You can start tomorrow. Without discipline, you believe those lies. With discipline, you expose them. Discipline doesn't silence emotions. It simply stops them from controlling your decisions. You can feel tired, but still work. You can feel afraid, but still take action. You can feel unmotivated, but still show up. That is true power. Discipline gives you the ability to act even when your emotions don't support the action. It's what separates achievers from talkers, leaders from followers, winners from victims. The disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect emotional state. They create forward movement regardless of their internal storms. And the more they practice this, the easier it becomes. Eventually, they begin to trust themselves more than their feelings. They start believing in their own consistency. They become someone they can rely on. This self-trust is a form of freedom far greater than momentary happiness. It is the freedom to know that you can handle anything. When you develop discipline, your emotional storms don't disappear, but they lose their power over you. You still feel fear, but it no longer paralyzes you. You still feel doubt, but it no longer dictates your actions. You still feel frustration, but it no longer derails your progress. That is the quiet strength discipline builds, the strength to keep going even when your emotions are screaming at you to stop. Most people quit not because they are weak, but because they never learn to separate how they feel from what they need to do. Discipline teaches that separation. It teaches that action is not a slave to emotion. It teaches that growth begins where comfort ends. There is also a deeper level to this. Discipline doesn't just free you from negative emotions, it also frees you from the illusion of motivation. Motivation is a liar. It comes and goes without warning. It abandons you when life becomes difficult. It shows up when things feel easy, but hides when things get hard. People who depend on motivation live inconsistent lives. They start strong, but rarely finish. They begin projects, but rarely complete them. They talk big, but deliver small. Discipline is the opposite. Discipline shows up every day, even when you don't want it to. Discipline gives you the freedom of consistency, the freedom of momentum, the freedom of progress. Disciplined people understand a simple truth. Feelings are temporary, but outcomes are permanent. The pain of discipline lasts minutes. The pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you add strength to your mind. Every time you act despite discomfort, you build resilience. Every time you honor commitment over convenience, you create a version of yourself that's harder to break, harder to discourage, harder to stop. That is freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is being unstoppable because you no longer need to feel like it. And here's the most powerful part. Disciplined people eventually experience better emotions because of their discipline. Confidence grows. Pride returns. Self-respect strengthens. Peace increases when you are no longer controlled by your emotions. You experience emotions in a healthier way. You feel proud of yourself. You feel capable. You feel powerful. And those emotions allow you to live with purpose instead of fear. Without discipline, emotions make you weak. With discipline, emotions become fuel. In the end, discipline is not just about habits. It's about liberation. It liberates you from the chains of doubt, laziness, fear, and inconsistency. It frees you from the trap of emotional chaos. It allows you to build a life with direction, clarity, and strength. Discipline creates freedom because it gives you mastery over yourself. And the moment you master yourself, you stop being a slave to emotions and start becoming the architect of your own destiny. In the end, everything you want in life comes down to one simple truth. No one is coming to save you, and no one is going to do the work for you. Your emotions will try to control you, distract you, and weaken you, but discipline gives you the power to rise above them. The life you dream about is not built on comfort. It's built on consistency. It's built on showing up when it's hard, pushing through when it hurts, and believing in yourself when doubt tries to suffocate your progress. Every day you choose discipline, you choose freedom, you choose strength, you choose growth, you choose a future where you're proud of who you've become. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. Don't wait for motivation to magically appear in your heart. Start now. Move forward now. Build the life you know you're capable of living. You have everything you need within you: courage, resilience, ambition, and the power to change your story. This is your moment to give everything you have, to rise above your emotions, and to become unstoppable. Good luck on your journey. Stay strong. And thank you for letting these words be part of your transformation.